The war between Israel and Palestine has caused a lot of talk around the world. After Hamas attacked Israel recently, people everywhere got angry and protested. This conflict isn't just a problem for the Middle East, it's affecting politics everywhere. With elections happening soon in many countries, the Israel-Hamas fight is causing big debates and could affect who gets elected. Let's see how this conflict could affect politics of different countries in the coming year. United States. The conflict between Israel and Palestine, which is taking place in the United States, is a topic of great debate. People there pay much attention to what's going on because it's a big deal in their foreign policy. Since the war began, President Joe Biden has been a staunch supporter of Israel. He immediately added more military support to Israel by supplying missile defense systems and asked Congress to allocate more money to Israel. Furthermore, he halted a UN vote that would have resulted in a ceasefire in Gaza. Nevertheless, Biden is getting a lot of criticism even from outside the country and from some people in his own political party. They are frustrated with the war's casualties, particularly the innocent civilians who are being killed by Israel's bombing of Gaza. Biden is now pointing fingers at Israel for their indiscriminate bombing, but he won't reduce the military help we give them. Biden's support for Israel is not only a political stance, but also a very personal issue. He was born in the era of the Holocaust, a disaster in which a lot of Jewish people were murdered. Therefore, he finds himself in Israel feeling a deep connection to the country. However, in America, there are plenty of different opinions about how to act in this case. However, it's a complex situation when we look at the way people in the United States view it. A New York Times CNN poll in December showed that 57% of people were not happy with the way Biden managed the conflict. Younger voters, a significant factor in Biden's win in 2020, had an even stronger disapproval at 72%. In the U.S. elections, the foreign policy is not the prime issue of the election. People in the poll did not consider the conflict as a major problem, as only 1% of them said it was the most important problem. However, in a close election like the one Biden had in 2020, his strong support for Israel might cost him votes in some states, such as Michigan, that have a large Arab and Muslim population. The U.S. backing of Israel makes it even more difficult for them to get support from other states, and particularly from the Global South, which is a collective term for states in Africa, Latin America, and Asia. The USA has been striving to make these countries to be on the same side with Ukraine in its struggle against Russia. Biden, however, has tried to connect Ukraine's situation with Israel's, claiming that they are both democracies that are fighting against enemies who want to eradicate them. Yet others find it unfair when those Western countries are very vocal about Russia's actions in Ukraine, but not as vocal about Israel's actions in the Palestinian territories. India. Almost 200 million Indians cast their votes in the general elections of their country, which take place every spring. India has not been the close friend of Israel for a long time. However, in the 1990s, they began to get closer, particularly under the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who became the leader in 2014. India is looking to expand the circle of its friends in the Middle East, and so it's on good terms with Israel, which now provides a lot of its weapons. The same Indian people who vote for Modi also see Israel as an example. They consider both the countries as dealing with similar kinds of challenges, such as dealing with terrorism and being the landing place for a certain ethnic or religious group. The BJP, under the leadership of Modi, made a video after the Hamas attacks that compared them to the same situation that India faces with the Islamist terrorism. This political party is oftentimes blamed for being the reason behind Islamophobia in India. The BJP is the political party that is sided with Israel, and this is quite different from the Indian National Congress Party. Congress usually stands by the cause of the Palestinians for their own nation. The Congress was disappointed to see that India chose not to vote for the immediate truce in the UN meeting about the conflict. In 2008, while Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, was visiting Israel, she stated that Germany regards Israel's security as a top priority. It is a clear demonstration of Germany's strong conviction to face up to its past with the Nazis. On the other hand, there has been a hushed talk about whether the strong support of Germany for Israel, the government of the federal state, of Saxony-Anhalt in eastern Germany intends to introduce a new requirement for all the new German citizenship applicants to sign a letter that they support Israel's right to exist and reject any actions against Israel. The German Constitution, or the Basic Law, makes it illegal to be anti-Semitic and to even deny the right of Israel to exist, and all the citizens of the country are expected to follow this law. Nonetheless, the intellectuals have been sending a series of open letters to the country about how the conflict is being handled. Furthermore, the country's famous art scene has had to deal with the cancellation of events and the suspension of collaborations of artists who criticize Israel or use the word genocide to describe the actions of Israel in Gaza. Some people believe that this topic has been overemphasized in the media. Jörg Lau, a correspondent for Die Zeit, the German newspaper, is irritated by the fact that Germany's activities in dealing with its past are somehow linked to the German government's position on the situation in Gaza. Tunisia is particularly known for its long-standing support to the Palestinians. The law suggests that 10 years of imprisonment is a minimum sentence for the ones who try to improve relations with Israel. It will also make it a crime to have any other contact with Israelis or Israeli companies that will be extremely hard to enforce. Tunisia's president, Kais Saied, who has been previously known as an opponent of any attempt to improve relations with Israel, suddenly stood against the bill. Said, the one who had been known for his anti-Semitic speech before, gave a confusing clarification. He said it's not necessary to make it a crime to be a Tunisian citizen who has ties with the country. Some Tunisian legislators believe that Said changed his position since the United States entered the game. They alleged that they had seen the U.S. Embassy in Tunis official letters to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The letters in question are said to have threatened to impose sanctions on Tunisia if the bill was allowed to go through. The U.S. State Department is silent on these allegations as of now. Said's latest attack on Parliament over the bill is not likely to influence the upcoming presidential elections because he has been challenging the democratic system in Tunisia since long before. But the fact that the Western countries were believed to be the supporters of Israel during the operations in Gaza has had a profound impact on Arab public consciousness. Although Tunisia is only one country, researchers argued it is an indicator that reflects the general Arab opinion. Fadil Alurza, a scholar at the Middle East Institute, emphasized the lasting impact of these events. He mentioned instances where individuals have rejected awards from the EU and other Western entities, believing that the West has been complicit in the conflict.